I believe the only reason to pay over $200 for a scan tool in 2025 is if it's got these three features. It's got to be bi-directional, it needs to have lifetime updates, and most importantly for 2025 we need AI assistance. So let's see if the Mucar 892 checks all these boxes. Hey everybody, welcome to RandomFix. So I test a lot of different scan tools, and scan tools are really nice to have when you own a vehicle and you don't like running down to the dealership every single second. But in the past, they have been a slow bleed. So you buy them and then you would go and pay yearly for the fees. And then about a year ago, ThinkCar and Mucar changed the whole industry. They started offering scan tools with lifetime updates. These lifetime updates have been really successful, and I really get a lot of great feedback regarding these particular units. And this particular unit in my hand right here is new for 2025, and it's got something that's really cool that I use all the time. It's got AI, and I use AI all the time to make the chapters for this video. So if you're short on time, check out the chapters. They'll put you in the right direction. And if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up, and also leave me some feedback if there's something that I didn't mention. And now let's jump into the review of the 892 from Mucar. And this is going to be Bluetooth, so it's wireless. And we're going to be doing a few different things throughout this video. The first thing we're going to do is a quick unboxing so you guys can see what's included. Then we're going to jump into a few vehicles. So I got a brand new Mercedes here, and I also have a hybrid import vehicle here. So we're going to see what it can do. And then I will give this a RandomFix tool grade so you guys can go ahead and decide for yourself. And at the very end, I'll give you guys my final thoughts, as I've been using this for the last 6 days with the new update installed that introduced the AI features. And I'll let you guys know what's my final take on it. So stick around and let's jump into the unboxing. Now let's take a look at what's included. And I do have to mention one thing. The ThinkCar, Mucar units are honestly my favorite units when it comes down to registration, as when you get it out of the box, all you need to do is connect to the internet, and there's no login, there's no passwords, because it comes with lifetime updates. So that is a value that you cannot understand until you've had a scan tool for 4 or 5 years and you end up paying $300 a year. That might cost you $1,500. This comes with lifetime update. Yearly cost is $0. And this is going to be one of my favorite tools, if not my favorite tools for home DIY use. So let's go ahead and check out what's included in this nice case. It's a soft shell case and it's branded. We get an Ethernet cable up here, USB to Ethernet adapter, because this particular scan tool has DOIP, which I'll talk about later on in the video. We get an adapter where we can basically go from wired, and you put the dongle in here and you connect the Ethernet here, and basically on vehicles that have that DOIP requirement, this cable right here is going to serve as the gateway. A USB-C cable, a power brick with different tips for different regions of the world. So I got the US one here, and we also have the UK and the EU. Now that we know what's included, let's talk about the actual scan tool itself. So this is a scan tool. We got a good size display here, and any specs that I forget to mention, I'll put on the screen. So I'm going to turn it around, and as you guys notice, we got a kickstand that can go over an airbag or a steering wheel. We have the VCI, which is a vehicle communication interface, and it is going to be completely wireless. So it's Bluetooth, and if you live in an area where it's really hot or cold outside, you can work from the comfort of your garage, which is really nice, and it just snaps into place. Again, it's actually really strong, and 99% of the times when I grab it by here, it actually is able to hold the unit in place, and you can even give it a little shake. So I really like the strength of the magnet here, and again, great design. Let's turn it around so we can take a look at the actual tablet itself and see what's up top. A USB-C input. So this is how I normally charge it, and to be honest, I just use my Android charger to go ahead and keep it topped off, and it works perfect. Battery life on this is really good. I've only charged it one time, and right now I'm at 76%. Then we have a regular USB connection up here, and that's the one that was used for that little adapter for the DOIP power button. So if we go ahead and press the power button, we'll just get two options: shut down and restart. They've made this particular scan tool really easy to navigate. I love the user interface. Now, if you decide to get this scan tool, when you first get it, it's not going to look like this, because a major update was released on the 25th of April that gave me all of these features. So I'll talk about this throughout the video, and let's talk quickly about this user interface, because I think this is one of the cleanest user interfaces out there. So up top, this is what we need to basically look at, these four categories. We have diagnose, maintenance, upgrade, and more. That's the main menu, and this is going to be the sub menu. And if you hit this right here, we get a couple of other options as well. So let's talk about the major stuff here. So most of the time on newer vehicles, I just use this auto search function, and it automatically decodes the VIN once this is plugged into the vehicle and the vehicle's ignition is on. VIN decoding, everything so far in every vehicle I've tested works. There's also going to be diagnose, and this is basically where you can go through and select the vehicle. You don't need to do that if you end up just using this icon right there. We have basic OBD2. So the real reason to buy one of these scan tools is because a regular $20 or $30 code reader like this is able to get OBD2, and it is useful. However, the OE side of the data that we get from this auto diagnose is much better data, as it's manufacturer specific. We get a lot more data as well as better live data, which we'll talk about later on in the video when we go into the graphing. History, report, feedback. If you want to submit some feedback back to Mucar, you can. And we have the RandomFix community, and this is a social media platform that is basically for car enthusiasts. I'm on it, and it's completely free to register, and it has some pretty cool information in there. And then we have the MU AI assistance. This is actually really cool, and it's not just this icon. I'm going to show you that throughout the video. When we get in a vehicle and we have a code, this option will actually come up, and it'll automatically do a search for us, and it's not just a Google search. I'll show you guys. If you guys notice, I have a couple of different floating buttons to the right here. This is basically going to allow me to take a screenshot. This is going to be a screen recorder, and if I swipe down, this is where I can turn the Wi-Fi on and off, Bluetooth on and off. I can increase the brightness and decrease the brightness as well as the sound. This does have a lot of other applications built in, including some games now. So it is a fully functional tablet as well, besides the fact that it's a good scan tool. We go to maintenance, and this is the view that's by default. I like this view a lot more. And we have a lot of different special functions showing here. I believe it's 34. Not every one of these is going to apply to every car. If your vehicle is not a diesel, you're not going to need to go and do this DPF regeneration. It does a lot. So if you don't have a sunroof, no need for this particular special function. Let's go to upgrade. This is where I can go through and update the software, and you do need internet for this. So with the Wi-Fi connected, I can just hit upgrade. I have installed every piece of available software, and we'll also take a look at how much memory is actually left over after everything's installed. And here's all the different maintenance functions, and again, all of them have been updated. There's a more section, and here we have settings, online services, user's manual, OBD2 fault library, coverage list. And what I don't like about the coverage list is the fact that it's online. I wish the coverage list was actually local. We have modules. So I'll talk about these modules towards the end of the video. TPMS, video scope, oscilloscope, printer, and a battery tester. And these are not included. So if you want to go and acquire these, you can. There's a gadget mall, and I have downloaded and installed all of these, and they all work. And I get a lot of questions about the image in the back, and you can actually change it. You go through settings, user, or you could do a customize profile, and I'm going to choose this. Now you guys can see that it's actually changed. There's my username for the $Fix community. So I'm on there. Anyway, that can be easily changed. I'm going to change it back to the default setting because this is going to get a little confusing. And now it's changed back. Very easy to understand menu system. Besides the AI assistance, there's actually human help. So if you click this icon right here, there's online services. So if you have a particular question, this is where you could type it out. From my own experience, I normally get a question answered in about 24 hours. So take that for what it's worth, but you definitely have AI on the fly. Let's see how much memory is actually left over after all the updates have been installed. So with all the updates installed, I have 42 gigs still available. So it took about 22 gigs for the operating system and all the updates. Definitely looking good. So I'm going to break this video down into several smaller size bites so you guys can easily digest it. So check the chapters. And during this video, we're going to be testing a lot of different components of the 892 Bluetooth. And one thing that I want to mention right now so I don't forget is make sure that you do not upgrade from the 689, as the 689 is a great scan tool. The only reason I am going and telling you guys this is my favorite scan tool is it's the 689 with an extra layer of AI. So in the future, this AI is going to get better. We're going to try to see how good it is now. And just know when AI first came out a year ago, I asked for it to do basic math. And honestly, the very first time I got the answer right. I would ask the same question 2 or 3 different ways, and it would give me a completely different answer, even though it was math. So that just kind of tells you everything's evolving. And with AI and car repair, I am really excited about what the future holds. And I'm excited that you guys and myself are basically saving and not having to pay these yearly fees, as they're a lot. Anyway, let's jump back into trying some of the different features of the scan tool. So the very first group that we are going to talk about is updates. So updates is something that a lot of people don't think about when they look at the initial cost of a scan tool and they say, well, it's costing me $500, only to realize that they're paying $300 a year for the updates. And after 5 years, you could quickly do the math and figure out that the scan tool actually costs $2,000. With this particular scan tool that I'm showing you guys here, it comes with lifetime updates. Now, I'm not psychic, but I know this lifetime updates doesn't mean forever. Nothing lasts forever. So let's just say we're going to get 7 years out of it. 7 times 300 is $2,100. So we're going to end up saving $2,100 over the next 7 years because we're going to avoid those yearly fees at $300 a year. And from using these scan tools, they get updates all the time. And you might be thinking that you don't want the updates because in the past this was an option. On a lot of the newer vehicles, the manufacturers actually require a live subscription for you to access the vehicle. So you will get locked out. And if you really hate fees, I got some other good news for you. I have previously tried the 689, which is the identical version to this, but it doesn't have the AI assistance. That particular scan tool works with Chrysler vehicles and the bypass cables. So you don't have to spend $129 for the Chrysler Gateway access. You can go through and buy a $20 cable and save even more. And the whole reason why we do home repairs is because we don't want to pay a shop. Honestly, if I was a billionaire, I would let somebody else change my oil and rotate the tires. But that's not the case. We have to go and save as much money as we can at every avenue so the savings can actually impact the repair and lessen the cost of owning the vehicle. About a month ago, I got really nervous because my AC system on my Toyota Prius stopped working, and I was ready to pay about $3,000 to have the system overhauled. And the honest truth is, I used a scan tool to figure out what it was, and it cost me $40. And it was actually this scan tool that I used in a video. So scan tools can pay for themselves the very first time that you use them, if you know how to use them. And with AI is really going to help us better understand possible reasons. And we still have to verify what's going on, but we'll talk a little bit more about this during the video. But updates are covered on this, and they are going to run you zero. Everybody likes the price of free 99. Free 99 is good. And just before we leave this section, if you guys think $300 a year for updates is expensive, there are scan tool manufacturers that have specialized functions such as ADAS, and these guys are charging $1,200 a year. So imagine that, a $1,200 a year subscription just to keep your scan tool up and working. Crazy. Now the next category is going to involve OE data, which is the vehicle manufacturer specific data in this rating, versus OBD2. So let me jump in a vehicle and get out of this rain, and I'll see you inside there. Now I go through a lot of effort to give you guys a good experience. So I'm about to put some stuff on my head just so you guys get the eagle's eye view without the glare, and you guys don't have to see my fat fingers in front. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. See, I got it on my head and I'm recording now. And let's talk about OBD2 versus OE data. So right here, this is going to be the generic data that we get from those $20 code readers. And the information here is useful. I'm not saying it's not. If we go click on this and hit auto search, we can actually access the OE side, which is going to be the Toyota side here. Right now it's scanning the VIN. For this to work, you just want to make sure that the ignition is on. In my case, the vehicle is actually running because it's pretty humid today as it's raining. And as you guys can see, the VIN was decoded. Now instead of looking at some just generic code that says P300, which is random misfire, I can get the exact cause as seen by a Toyota dealership, almost. Toyota has its own specialized software, but this is the closest thing we consumers can get unless we buy laptops. So if I hit health report, it will scan all the different modules of the vehicle and figure out if there's any problems in each one. 47 seconds later, we are done. So it found 16 systems, and out of 16 systems, we have 0 DTCs or diagnostic trouble codes. This is good. Now I have a couple of different options. I can go through and save this as a report. If I had any issues, I can clear them, or I could do a rescan. Now we have access to all of these different modules. So I can access any of these 16 modules here. On top of that, I could go into a particular module. So if I choose the engine control module here, I'm going to turn the engine off and turn the ignition on. So my check engine light is on, but the motor's not running. Now I have this menu, and this menu lets me do several cool things. First thing I can do is obviously read a fault code, clear a fault code. I can read the freeze frame data, so I can figure out when the problem happened, what were the conditions were like. On top of that, I have the ability to read data streams. So instead of just reading about 40 different parameters, I can read hundreds of parameters. Now let's talk about the next item down, which is going to be actuation tests. So here's the actuation test. And for example, let me do something you guys can actually maybe hear. I'm going to turn on the engine fan because I just replaced this. And that engine fan is now on. And here's the special functions that are shown under the engine module. So we have a readiness. This is for smog inspections. We can check the VIN. So we could do a reset. Basically, it's like an ECU reset. And we have an evap system check. So if you had an evap leak for your smog and you keep getting a message that your fuel cap is loose, this might be a great check to go ahead and perform. There's an oil reset, manual throttle match, and customized settings. Customized settings are basically going to allow me to... How do you guys like that rain, by the way? It's about to rain, Texas style. So hopefully you guys can hear this. A lot of scan tools will go through and make this a really big deal. But this is a nice feature. This is called ECU coding. So for example, if I enter the vehicle and I want the door locks to all open, I can program that here and customize the wait times and back door operation opening. So if I don't want the trunk to open, I can go ahead and do that. A lot of cool little things you can do. So I'm in the body control module, and if my door locks were not working, and I wasn't sure if it's going to be the motor inside the door or it's the switch because it got rained on or whatever other reason, I can quickly test it without having to take anything apart. For example, I could unlock or lock the door and make sure that it's performed. Since this scan tool is bi-directional and it allows us to get OE data, the nice thing is not only are we able to read codes from the vehicle, we can also send commands to the vehicle. Now let's talk about the special functions. So here's the special functions menu. It's right up top. And I can go one by one and it'll give me a quick description of what it is. Obviously, I like this view a lot better. And with the new update, I'm actually able to move this around. So if I was working on BMWs and mini vehicles a lot, this is a very popular feature to have. I'm also happy to report that the key making option is still here. So a lot of other manufacturers are locking us out, but Mucar is not doing that. That's why this is one of my favorite scan tools for home DIY users, as it lets us make our own keys. And if you buy your own key, it can be very cheap. For my Dodge, I got a key for less than $6. For this Toyota, I actually made my own key, and it cost me less than 50 bucks. So this is the original key, and this is the key that I made. And again, I didn't have to go through any sort of database registration. I didn't have to pay a $450 fee to that agency. And on top of that, I didn't have to go through and maybe get insurance or a license, as I'm just making a key for a vehicle that I already own. And this does do all keys lost operation. So for example, if you've lost every single one of your keys, you can go through and wake up the computer and program a key. And that could be a very tricky situation, but this scan tool has you covered. Let's go through these 34 functions really quick. And things I have done. I have basically reprogrammed throttle bodies using a scan tool. I have a diesel Mercedes, so this one applies there. ECU reset. I don't know if this is available on the Toyota, but that's something that we can do. So this is not supported. But if you went under the engine control module, they have a reset of values, and I would do it that way. Anyway, sometimes it's a little tricky to figure out how to use a scan tool, but you basically just gotta play around with it, and every scan tool is a little different. Odometer reset, oil reset. On this particular vehicle, if you hit this button, it will give you the directions. But on the Mercedes, it will actually send a command to the vehicle to reset that light. Steering wheel angle sensor, TPMS. For this, you will need that special module. Turbo, matching, tire size, window calibration. And if you have a vehicle that has a stop-start feature you don't like, you can actually disable it with this scan tool. This does have the NOx reset, which I normally only find on higher-end scan tools. Airbag reset, AdBlue reset. So I'm in the engine control module, and I wanted to show you guys something really quick that even higher-end scan tools fail, which is the ability to recall what previous data streams you were looking at. So this particular scan tool can graph 4-in-1, and it can pull up 211 fields of data on this particular 2012 Toyota. If you have a newer vehicle, there's going to be more data here. So let's go through and choose some options, and I have selected quite a few. I'm going to hit OK here, and I'm going to hit graph. And as you guys can see, some of these are numeric and other ones aren't. So the battery voltage right here is displayed, and I can go through and view it enlarged like this. I can go back to the previous menu. On top of that, I can actually record. So I can record if I'm troubleshooting something that is only happening when I'm driving. This is going to make it quite easy. On top of that, I can just do a screenshot, which is really nice. And if I want to pull up new information, I don't have to go to the previous menu, which does remember what I was looking at, and I can quickly unselect a few items and reselect 2 new items. That is really cool. That's something that I see on higher end scan tools. So graphing and going to the previous screen is really easy with this. Again, those items are still shown. Perfect. So I've gone through and actually triggered a check engine light on this vehicle. And let's go through and do a quick health report and seeing how AI can actually help us with this. Here we go. We have that particular issue found, and it has 4 fault codes. Let's choose the engine control module, and here's the codes. They're permanent, they're pending, and they're current. Basically, I unplugged the sensor. This happened to be a lot when I used to buy cars at auctions, and people would try to keep you from buying the vehicle, so they would throw off the check engine light by unplugging a sensor. So I've had to do a lot of sensor hunting, and let's see what we can do with this particular scan tool now. So if I save this as a report, I can now get MUAI to help me. Okay, so here's what AI tells me. It's got a few different suggestions. And honestly, none of these suggestions are very good. So I'm going to hit it's not helpful. I tried this on the Mercedes. I actually had much better luck. So like all things in life, it's not perfect. So I went through and triggered an airbag light on this Toyota, and honestly, the AI is not helping. It's just giving me very generic data. It's telling me to write down the code and do a Google search. I'll show you guys on the Mercedes. It's a whole different kind of experience. So I know this is evolving and it's going to get better. And the honest truth is, on previous scan tools, we didn't even have this option. So this is an added feature, and I'm still in love with the scan tool because I know exactly what's going to end up happening. And I think that's what's happening here. This is a beta version, and it's going to improve. So let me go through and quickly clear up all these lights and making sure that that can work, and then we'll jump into the Mercedes. Okay, let's make sure that everything here can be auto cleared and that the scan tool can clear codes without any issues. Here's all the codes. I'm going to clear everything. So airbag light is on, check engine light is on, check engine light disappeared, airbag light disappeared right there as well. Cool. So it does do that. As you guys notice, I have permanent codes. These permanent codes cannot be deleted unless I actually drive the vehicle. Everything is working and operating the way it's supposed to be, except for the AI. AI is in beta. Okay, let's jump into the Mercedes and we'll go from there. And I know you guys are watching a video here on the 892 scan tool, but if you guys want to check out what really keeps me busy in 2025, you guys got to check out my Sprinter build. Yesterday, I put in flooring. I put in flooring in here, and it's looking sweet. Check that out. I am not a carpenter, guys, but if you guys want to follow me along on that, because it's quite fun to actually build a camper van, and it's pretty challenging, and it always keeps you on your toes because you got to know what's happening and when to do what and where to do what. So if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you guys check the video description. I'll leave you guys a playlist to this. As I'm waiting for the rain to lessen so I can jump in the Sprinter for you guys, I wanted to give you guys an analogy I have about scan tools and how I actually look at this. I compare them to free printers that they give you when you buy a computer or a laptop. And nobody wants those free printers. Trust me, guys. The ink is so expensive. You're going to oftentimes pay $100 for maybe 50 cents of ink. And that's the exact same thing that's going on in the scan tool world until last year when ThinkCar and Mucar decided to come out with the lifetime subscription model. And honestly, it's freaking awesome because for home DIY users, most of us don't have the knowledge to use a $10,000 or $6,000 scan tool, as they're very complicated. Even when I play around with my vehicles, there's a limit on how deep I'll go into it because I could brick the car, and once the car is bricked, no one's going to want to touch it. If you guys are like me and you guys are into saving, let me know down below on what you guys think about the yearly fees, and are you okay paying those yearly fees. Now, if you're a mechanic and you're using this to make money, this is going to be one of your scan tools. It's not going to be the only scan tool you have because there's no perfect scan tool. So you may want to grab one of these and also grab yourself an AutoFix higher end unit because those units come with 2 years of updates and they're the exact same thing as the Autels. Now, I get a lot of feedback from users about the ThinkCar and Mucar units being an exact clone of the launch products. And I don't actually personally see it, but they report back that the accessories and the modules from the launch units work on these scan tools. So that is actually good to hear. I'm almost beginning to think I would not buy a scan tool that had yearly fees, period. That's just for home DIY users. It doesn't make any sense. I really use my scan tool about 5 times a year. This year I've used it a little bit more because of the Mercedes, and every time I take the seats out, the stupid airbag light goes off. If I don't have a scan tool, I would have to go down to Mercedes and pay about $200 plus for them just to reset that, not including the loss of time and the fuel to get down to the Mercedes-Benz dealer, which is about 2 hours away, so it's a 4-hour trip. Hey guys, I also wanted to note that Mucar did send me this unit, just like every other scan tool vendor in the past. Let you guys know my feedback. They never tell me what to say, how to say it, when to say it. I always give you guys the truth and from my own perspective. Now, you might have a different perspective from me, and I honestly appreciate that. You guys can let me know what it is down below. But just know, like always, I'm going to keep my reviews honest so you guys know exactly what you guys are getting, and that way I can save you guys the most amount of money. The whole reason why we repair our own vehicles is save money. If we can save $200 or $300 a year not paying fees, that is definitely going to add up. So now we're in the Mercedes, and I want to point a few things out before I forget. One of them is going to be, even though this does make keys for vehicles, if you have a more enhanced vehicle with a more complicated security system, this cannot make a key for it. You will need a specialized key machine that is very expensive, but for basic vehicles, yes, it works. Additionally, this does have CAN-FD and DOIP support. So if you have a newer BMW, Jaguar, or GM vehicle, this has you covered. Obviously, I talked about the Chrysler vehicles earlier in the video, and this does work for that, and the bypass cables work. So now let's jump into the auto search on this Mercedes so you guys can see the difference. So this Mercedes has a lot more computers than the Toyota, and we are going to do this enhanced version here. And this is going to take quite a bit of time. Again, the voltage for the car is displayed right here, and that is the voltage of the unit. And while we're waiting for the scan to be complete, I did want to talk about a few things this lacks. This lacks topology, and topology is a visual representation of where all the different modules are. So when you are looking at a newer vehicle that has 70 computers, it helps to pinpoint the problem a little faster. This does not have it. Additionally, this has no camera. So there's no camera built onto the back of the unit. We're going to do a health report. So that finished in 1 minute and 24 seconds. And it wasn't the fastest scan, it wasn't the slowest. Nonetheless, this is what's being shown here. And again, I can clear everything, and I can also do report. And this is something I didn't show earlier, but you can obviously make this work for a shop very easily and customize everything and put pictures of the shop and brand it. And here we have all the different DTCs. Again, I can launch the MUAI, and there are two different ways of launching the AI. You could do it while you're diagnosing, and it will try to look up the relevant problem, or you can launch it from the home screen. Again, I get some general information. This one is actually related, so this is not a bad diagnosis. And this one right here is not good. So this is going to be for the left tail light. And when I hit the AI button, it gives me information about a BMW. This is a Mercedes. Let me go ahead and quickly throw off the airbag light on this, as most scan tools cannot do this, as this vehicle is newer, and you guys can see it for yourself. So let's see if this can read it and clear it without issues. Okay, it cleared up and my airbag light is gone. So also on this Mercedes, there's a lot of cool coding you can do. I dare not do it because it's kind of complicated, and I don't want to dive too much, but when you go into system selection and you go into body, you can basically go through different systems, like the parking system here. Yeah, this is all new. Cool. This was not here a week ago. I'm going to play around with this some more. We have quite a few different choices here. Read, fault codes, data streams, actuation test, special functions, variant coding, coding backup, and reserve. I want to show you guys how it looks when a manufacturer goes and categorizes everything. And basically, instead of going through and trying to figure everything out, they put a menu of options for you. So here on the body control module for the parking system, this is the menu I have. And I think this is communicating, sending data back and forth. Now when I hit back, this is what I used to get. So again, I'm going to go to data streams, and everything's categorized here. So if I had an engine starting issue, I can come here and choose engine does not turn. Everything that really pertains to this is already selected for me. This is all neatly organized. And again, this is not because of the scan tool, it's because of the vehicle. I'll keep you guys posted on future videos as I need to play around with this. I don't want to take any chances with this vehicle. Definitely looking forward to using this. Now let's jump into my favorite part of the video, which is going to be to give this a RandomFix tool grade so you guys can decide for yourself. And now is my favorite part of the video. This is where I'm going to give this a RandomFix tool grade so you guys can decide for yourself. You guys hear that thunder? There's a lot of stuff that I love about this unit, guys. I'm going to go into that, but there's a few things I don't like. I don't like the fact that this particular unit has some of the user's manuals online. Honestly, that's probably going to be one of the very few things I'm going to complain about. On top of that, we saw that the AI support is limited once you're inside of a vehicle diagnosing it. Now, this particular AI is really good when you go through manually select it yourself. However, when I'm diagnosing a vehicle, it's a little bit more complicated. So what I would love to see is a similar icon, just like this, for the screenshot or the record, so I can launch the MU AI anywhere I want as I'm diagnosing it. That would make this user interface a lot better. Two areas of improvement, and also there's a few things that are still missing from it. So one of them is going to be the root cause identification. That's still not here, and I know the AI is developing. Holy smokes! That was crazy. Also, we are missing the following: the repair recommendations, and the required tools, and the cost estimator. So it looks like we are still missing about 4 key items that will be introduced into this later on. Let me close this garage. Look at that, guys. rain, go away so I could do my review and you don't have to wait another day. So I'm super excited to see when they add those 4 missing components. Now what I love about this unit, honestly, is going to be pretty much everything. The only things that I wish they would do differently is that not everybody likes Bluetooth, guys. And Bluetooth has its advantages. You can walk around the vehicle and test components by yourself without requiring another person. But the feedback that I get from users is they really still like the wired version just because it's a little more reliable. And there's one less thing to go and lose. And other than that, great design. And I don't mind the old colors. These colors I don't mind as well. And I like the fact that you can change the logo in the back. You can easily customize this to a shop. Overall, great unit. And for home DIY use, this is my favorite unit. So I am not going to be shy about this, as I really don't want you guys to end up with a free printer just to end up paying thousands of dollars more for something that could be included for free. And this does that. So with all that said, this is going to get the highest score ever on the channel of 92 out of 100. And honestly, I think once the AI is developed, this could even get a higher score. So I might do an update in the future. And I'm going to display for you guys how I rank this unit. And as you guys can see, this really scored high in each of those categories. And overall, I think this is a complete buy. Now, do not buy this if you already own the 689 or the 689 Bluetooth. It doesn't make sense. But if you don't own a scan tool, this is the one, honestly, to get for home DIY use. As always, guys, I appreciate you guys watching so much. I'm going to leave you guys some special coupon codes down below, as well as at the end of the video. And if you guys want to check out my previous video of the 689 Bluetooth or wired, I'll leave you guys those down here as well, so you guys can learn more about this particular brand and how they're really just stirring up the whole scan tool industry. And for consumers, this means we have some really good alternatives, and this happens to be my favorite. Thank you again, guys, and as always, make it a great day. I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again.